Talent Talk is sponsored by Company of Rogues Actors Studio, New York-style training for actors at all stages of their journey. With our part-time classes and full-time masterclass program, Rogues provides a unique post-secondary option under the guidance of working professionals. Mentoring and developing professional film and theater artists since 1993, Calgary's longest-running independent studio offers practical hands-on classes in a positive, supportive environment. Check us out at corogues.com. Company of Rogues, passionate about the art of acting.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary McLean. You are watching Talent Talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please do go to the Talent Talk YouTube channel and subscribe today. As always, the support's appreciated. Now, also, if you're not aware, this episode and previous episodes are available on podcast mediums such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, just to name a few. If you'd like a full list of where you could actually listen to the show, check out the description details of this and previous episodes. And finally, before I get to today's guest, I just wanted to announce that we are very proud to announce that we are working in conjunction with these pillars of the film community: Company of Rogues, RJ Talent, Herd of One Media, Workflow Films, and Counting Coup Indigenous Film Academies. So thank you to those folks for helping us out this season. And we're always looking for others to collaborate with. So if you know of any business or individual that would like to join our team, please reach out to our official website at www.talenttalkmedia.ca or email us at info@talenttalkmedia.ca. Now, today's guest, he's an award-winning actor, filmmaker from Vancouver. He and his production company, Soon Films, have put together the acclaimed short film, The Stranger, which is now making its rounds at film festivals across North America. And on the acting front, he can now be seen on Netflix's The Night Agent, which premiered on March 23rd. So please join me in welcoming Curtis Lum to the show. Curtis.
Hey ho!
How's it going, man?
It is going, sir. How are you?
It's going all right. Are you in Vancouver right now?
I am not. I am in finally sunny Los Angeles.
Ah, nice.
We've weathered the storm for a couple weeks, and yeah, today's looking bright.
And are you like, do you reside there now, or do you still kind of reside in the Vancouver area, or?
That's a little bit of a loaded question. How much time you got? No, in short, I sort of bounce around, combination of wherever the work is, and then just for my personal life. But I kind of go back and forth between Vancouver, LA, sometimes London. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because you're Canadian born, right? You're born in Vancouver,
Correct.
I think, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
So, just out of curiosity, how did you find? Because obviously you need certain not credentials is not what I'm thinking, but to work in LA, you need to go through a certain process.
Yes. Yes. The
I'm just
coveted
Go
for us Canadians, we need the coveted visa, O1 visa, or the green card in order to work in the States. Yeah.
And how difficult is that for an actor to kind of get that done? Do you find?
I feel like it's case by case. Honestly, I personally myself have been very lucky in that, I've with my experience, I've fallen in the more like luckier side of the spectrum. But I've heard horror stories of like just like the worst stuff happening you can imagine, to stories where it's literally like a breeze. Like people have gotten their visas within like a couple weeks, without any hiccups. But to my understanding, it is getting more and more difficult, especially after the Trump era. Him and his administration made it a little bit more difficult for, immigration, the processes and whatnot. So uh, yeah, but to be honest, I'm still learning. I'm still learning through it. I'm still going through it myself. Like I've had my O1 visa before. You know, I'm in the process of renewing it right now, and yeah, I feel like I'm learning something new every day.
For sure. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, which I think is par for the course for this line of work anyway.
yeah.
Um, but so in that case, how long have you actually been in the film industry working?
Um, I started acting when I was about 2021 ish.
So like
So, you
last year?
know,
Um,
yeah, 2 years
yeah.
ago I started. No, no. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's been 10 plus years, and you know, but I really consider myself like actively doing it, you know, full time and giving it my all for about 8 years, I'd say. You know, the first few years when I started doing it, I was just taking, you know, like adult night acting classes, you know, part time, once a week sort of thing, just testing it out. It's funny, I you know, shortly after sort of, you know, high school and a brief stint of college, I told my family that I was going to school, right? And just to kind of appease everyone and whatnot, letting them think that I was, you know, a scholastic or academic genius. But little did they know I was actually just taking night adult acting courses. I don't know why I keep saying night courses. They happened in the evening. I don't mean to make it sound more sexual and provocative than it was. But I was taking you know, adult acting classes, and I gave myself sort of like, I'm very rigid with these rules sometimes, but I gave myself 1 year. I said, okay, Curtis, let's try it out. You know, this is a world that I never really saw myself being in. You know, I mean, the the I've always had the energy and the perhaps like the DNA of an entertainer, but I never actually saw myself being an actor per se. And so I gave myself a year. I was like, I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna try really hard, and if I don't book something or nothing happens within a year, then I'm going to put this behind me and I'm going to focus on whatever it is else that I want to do. And, you know, what started off as once a week, I think later became twice a week. And then I started doing more workshops. And then I started really, really enjoying the process of just like falling face first into this acting thing. You know what I mean? It was very, very humbling and crippling in many ways for someone with like anxiety and whatnot. But fortunately, within my first year, I like on the 11th month, I booked my first recurring series. It was a show called Renegade Press. And, you know, I definitely caught the bug from there. And that was like the first beginner's luck little introduction into the industry. But it was my first taste of, you know, anything can happen, you know, if you just trust and you just try. And you know, it was a very lovely experience. And so, but anyways, from there, you know, then that's when I started getting and more serious. And then it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years later was I able to kind of make the leap to like becoming a full-time actor. So yeah.
Okay. And if after that 1 year you weren't where you hoped you would be, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, at the time, so I grew up in the restaurant business. My family, for as long as I can remember, has been involved in it. I think technically I am a three and a half generation restaurateur, because
Okay.
my father was a restaurateur, my grandfather was a restaurateur, and technically my great grandfather dabbled in the restaurant business as well, even though I don't think he actually owned a restaurant. But so I'd probably be in that space, or you know, I was at around that age of like 19, 20, I was throwing a lot of events. I was like sort of an events coordinator. I was throwing a lot of jams, a lot of parties. I was running club nights and stuff like that. So I've always loved bringing people together, connecting people, and I've always loved entertaining people. So, I'm not surprised that I became an actor because of that, but at the same time, I, I definitely can see why I'm a producer, because there's a lot of those same elements that cross over from that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably be running a restaurant or a nightclub or something, or yeah.
Parents always have this bigger dream for their kids, or they want their kids to continue on with what they're doing. How did your parents actually feel when you got into acting then, and or doing what you do today?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned to you just now, they didn't know for the first year or so. Um, I was really, really shook, way too shook to tell them, But eventually, I think it was my mom that found out, and she was really cool with it. My mom has always been super supportive of me, and she's always been the type. She's always understood sort of the philosophy, or we share the same philosophy of like life's short, right? So just do what you love. Why not? What's the harm in that? I mean, unless you're 6 months behind rent and you're at that stage where, I'm not going to say you're delusional, but it's like, okay, maybe you should try something else, right? If it's anything less than that, I feel like, you know what? Do what you love. Try it at least. Why not? And that was her mentality behind it. So she was great. My dad, on the other hand, it wasn't that he wasn't supportive. I think it was more so the fact that he wanted, just a good life for me. He wanted, he was very pragmatic and practical with his approach to how he sort of wanted to guide me in my own journey. Um, I get that you don't want to see your friends or especially your offspring have to struggle as hard as you did, et cetera, et cetera. But then also, he worked really hard to build his restaurant empire, right? And so I think for him, he really wanted to pass that down to me. And it was heartbreaking for me to have to build up the courage to kind of stand against that and say, this isn't for me. I feel this thing and I gotta chase it. I don't know if or when this will work out, but if and when it does, this is what I feel I need to do, and eventually he came around to it. And I love telling this story. Like at first I'm not gonna lie, there was quite a bit of resistance, right? But from like a get real standpoint, it's like, oh, come on. Like, you're not going to be an actor. You're not going to be a successful actor. There's nobody out there that looks like you that's doing it. So what makes you think you're able to do it, right? That was sort of the mentality, face to face. And I remember after that first job that I told you about on Renegade Press, because we shot that in Regina, in Saskatchewan. When I came back after shooting, I think it was like the 4 or 5 episodes I was on, I caught wind of his excitement through like our regular customers at the restaurants that were coming in. So I remember my first day back, back to reality, no more on sets, like living the dream life. It's back to wearing my apron and getting, my busboy outfit or server outfit on, whatever it was. And yeah, our regulars would be like, your dad tells us you were on a TV show. Oh my God, when's it coming out? We can't wait to watch it. And it was like back to back to back to back. And I was like, this is interesting. I've never seen this excitement come from him before, or even any kind of like positive affirmation from him. You know what I mean? And then I'll never forget it. It was like a couple months later when the show came out. I was serving one day, and then on the TV came on the episode. The episode started playing, and it turns out it was my dad that turned it on.
Okay. All right.
And so, like, I saw that he was proud. I saw that, I saw his support in his own way. You know what I mean? It wasn't it. His love language is very different from mine, and but I really appreciated the sentiment and the support, even though it was behind my back.
Right. The quiet proudness.
Yeah. And then, over the years, after like certain bookings, you know, of a certain size, and then certain, working with certain actors, I think they both my parents really started coming to. Now it's at a point where they're almost too overly supportive, and it really throws me off because I don't know how to handle it. Like, I'm used to the resistance, and they're like, "Oh, good luck, great for you," and I'm like, "What? What did you just say?" Or like they have so much belief in me now that they just expect me to get certain roles. Like
Right.
even my uncle, for instance, he's always like, for years he's been dogging me. He's like, "Hey, Curtis, why don't you want to do that show, Good Doctor? Why aren't you on that show?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not from a lack of trying. I'll tell you that much. I've auditioned several times for that show, right?" And then I finally book it in this past year, and of course, there's that moment of joy, but then the follow up question immediately is, "What? Just one episode? Wait, why don't you do a whole season? What's wrong with you? That's a great show. Why don't you want to be a series regular?" And I'm like, "Oh God,
I do.
yeah, yeah, yeah." So stuff like that.
Yeah, no.
Long story short, yes, yes, they're great, and I love them very much, and I'm very appreciative of all of the the grace and love and support that they've given me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, though, yes, you were a day player more or less for the Good Doctor, but one show where you seem to be a bit of a staple was Siren. The Siren?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah, that was
were
a fantastic
28
experience. Yeah,
episodes, something like that, or more. I can't remember.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not gonna go full out and say that. Screw it. I'll say it. I I was very, very proud of the work that was done, for myself and from all of my coworkers on that show. But I remember booking the pilot, and originally the character of Calvin that I played was quite, minuscule, like in the sense that he was, even the character description, it was just like, oh, he's one of Xander's friends, maybe best friend, we'll see, sort of thing. And you know, I, I'd like to believe that when we were shooting the pilot, when I started getting to know the cast a bit more, and I started getting to know the writers and the producers and stuff like that, I think uh, they saw my energy, and they saw like I think the potential of what I could bring to this character, so much so that they were, or maybe even much more than what they had ever imagined for the character. And then you can kind of see the gaping difference between the pilot and episode 2, where all of a sudden Calvin is like almost instantly more three-dimensional. Right off the bat, he's got, you know, um, he's in with it with the main storyline, but then he's also got his own storyline brewing right off the bat, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was a really big blessing for me, and I'm very grateful for the fact that all 3 seasons, it was a very collaborative effort between myself and the writers. They were always very willing to work with me and around my voice and around my ideas and stuff like that. And shout outs to Joe Menendez, who was really the first director I've ever worked with, and it was on that show where he really championed my ideas. He was always the kind of director that was like, "Let's see what you got for this. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Do you think we could try this? Okay, cool, 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 cool. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do one your way, and then we'll do one my way, and then whoever wins will get to keep the scene." You know what I mean? So he made it fun, and I loved that because you don't often get that in TV land, right? Usually everyone's behind schedule, everything's rushed. Not rushed, but like you don't necessarily have all the time in the world, right? And so for him to really hold space and to kind of really, like I said, encourage and champion a relatively newer actor, it meant everything to me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and honestly, I love stories like that where you're meant to be a 5 minute or 2 minute bit on a episode. Next thing
yeah,
you know, you're a series regular. It's like
yeah,
love those stories. So congrats.
yeah. Thank you so much.
And to me, that's just that kind of puts a spotlight on the ability you must have, because directors aren't going to do that unless they actually see something, right? So again, a testament to what you can obviously do. So
Hmm,
congrats on that.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Um, I do want to touch a little bit on your production company, Soon Films,
Sure.
if you don't mind. You guys, you worked with a couple other production companies, I think, in the creation of the short film "The Stranger." I
Hmm.
think, right, which will be
Yes, that's
seen.
yeah. Fingers crossed. We've just completed that film, and we're shipping it out to film festivals right now. Um, so my production company, Soon Films, Soon is an acronym. It stands for something out of nothing, and we are a content and sort of IP creation group that we like to collaborate with other production companies. Under our belt, we have, I think, 4 short films in total that we've done over the last couple of years, starting in the pandemic. And, you know, I'm very proud of all of them. And yeah, so for this particular project, The Stranger, we teamed up with the main production company, uh, who's led by the writer and director of the film. His name is Andy, aka Tin Pack Lao. He is just this creative genius that I've been so fortunate to have met and teamed up with. Um, he we met through a mutual friend, and when the very first time he pitched me this idea, I was like all in. Um, he was born and raised in Hong Kong. That's where majority of my family's from, and ultimately The Stranger, the genesis behind it was that he woke up one day and just didn't recognize his home anymore. He didn't recognize the world that he was living in, that was in Hong Kong. And this was sort of like a love letter to that, told through a metaphor of like a dying relationship, essentially. And so myself and my fabulous co-star, Yvonne Chapman, um, you know, it's a 20-minute short film that really just encapsulates so many different emotions and and I think real life uh, struggles that I think people will identify with. You know, um, it's one of these projects where I don't even really want to talk too much about. I just want people to see it for themselves and subjectively feel however they want to feel. It poses a lot of open-ended questions for people, right?
Okay.
Through the medium of like a very kind of artistic, almost sci-fi type of piece. So it was very, what's the word? You know, experimental in many ways for me for this film, but under the leadership and the direction of Tim Pack Lau, you know, we are all just over the moon about like how dope this project is. Yeah.
Right. And so, like right now, it's you're looking to get it into the festivals and things like that. Um,
Hmm.
is there a goal for it, or not even necessarily a goal, but is there a plan to release it in a medium where people can actually check it, like myself or whatever the case? You know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So we have our targets in place as far as film festivals go. Um, but absolutely, once it's once we get the green light, we're going to try to get this onto as many screens as possible. But I think the end goal for this is this has legs to be something a bit bigger. So we're hoping to essentially utilize this as a proof of concept for something a little bit larger in scale. But if at the very least, if nothing else, this is the first of many, I think, between myself and the director and our production companies. I think we worked so well together, and it was such a blast working with these talented individuals. So
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think that's the best approach when it comes to film, is to approach it from the concept of, hey, we just want to use this as a
proof of
stepping stone
concept.
to something
Yeah,
bigger, right? Or concept, yeah, to
yeah,
something bigger, right?
most
Um,
definitely.
yeah, I mean, it's great to do short films. They're fun to do, and it keeps you in the groove of being creative and things like that. But I think it does help to have that purpose, right? And that goal to move it forward. But you know what? We are kind of getting up to that 30-minute mark, and I know you have to kind of take off soon. So I definitely want to get on to the new show you're going to be on, which is currently
Yes,
airing on Netflix,
yes,
The Night Agent, which,
yes.
as I mentioned before the show, I haven't actually watched anything yet, but I do
Oh,
have it on my watch
how
list.
dare
So
you!
I am prepped.
How dare you, sir?
I'm a little
Well,
behind.
you haven't
I'm
watched
slow
it
that
yet.
way.
It's a great
So,
show. I'm in every episode. I absolutely crush it. I'm projecting at least 2 Emmys for myself.
nice,
It's basically,
nice.
well, sorry, it's okay, you know what? I'll use this platform to announce it. I've already got my spin-off, The Night Asian, where it's all on me. And I'm kidding.
As it should
Um,
be. I mean, right?
yeah, no, The Night Agent, where, everyone is, again, such a blessing to be a part of it. Um, it's been a roller coaster ride these last couple of weeks as the show has been rolling out. I think overall the reception, the show has been very, very well received. It's been doing really well on the platform. I think we're number one in like at least a dozen countries at the moment. And yeah, it's one of those ones where you're like, thank God, that people don't hate it.
Well,
Yeah.
so again, released March 23rd. Um, so folks, check it out, Netflix. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your character? Cisco, I believe, is the
Yeah.
character name, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about him without spoilers?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I play Cisco Jenkins. He is a Maryland State Trooper. He is one of Peter Sutherland, the main character's oldest friends. And as we sort of move through the story in the season, Peter gets into a lot of trouble, and who better to call than your best bud? Especially one that you've put. Not only do you have the history, but we both graduated Quantico together, so um, we both essentially have FBI training under our belts, and together we tackle some issues that are at hand. Yeah, it's a 10 episode season in this first season, and there's just so much going on and so many twists and turns, and the action. For me personally, my favorite thing about the show is how well the action has been coordinated. Shout outs to our stunt coordinator Mitch, and the writers. I think everyone did such a fantastic job with bringing the authentic grit that is required to make any type of action sequences or fight sequences or driving sequences believable. And yeah, this show did a really good job with capturing all of those beats for that. So I'm very,
Okay.
very happy with it. Yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna ask you another real quick question, just to kind of wrap things up here.
Yeah.
When you're not doing movies and TV,
Mm.
what does Curtis do for fun?
Mm. Wow. That's a great question. That is the question, isn't it? What do I do for fun?
I mean, I know
What
filming's
is
fun,
fun?
but you know,
Fun? What's that? Um, I'm a pretty simple guy, to be honest. Especially after the pandemic, I uh, I really enjoy just being around my friends and my family. It means a great deal to me that they're all good. I can't be good unless they're good, right? Um, but for me, part of being down in LA, I love going for hikes. I love taking in the sun. I love being outdoors. Um, I'm a To keep active. I'm in the gym a lot. Um, I do a lot of Muay Thai, kickboxing, and boxing as well. That for me is a lot of fun. I think there's nothing that makes you feel more alive than getting punched in the face or kicked in the face. As painful as that is, it's a really nice reminder that, hey, I'm alive.
yeah,
Great. All right.
yep, felt that
You
one.
know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So basically, what do I like for fun? I guess pain. That's the short answer. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Well, Curtis, I do want to thank you for being on the show. And I know you're a busy guy nowadays as well. You've
Absolute
got a lot
pleasure.
on the go, and yeah, so thank you for that. Best of luck on everything that's kind of coming your way. And yeah, I'm looking forward to checking you out on Night Agent.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it too.
All right, and for
Thanks for
everybody
joining.
else that's going to be watching this, see you next time. We'll have lots of great guests this season, so see you soon. Thanks, Curtis, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.